understand this, that understand what this is.
All right, let's just start off without sharing. Then we'll see everybody's faces here. It'll be nice and this way. Okay. I guess we'll just start. Hi, I'm Christopher, and this is Russell and Kaylin, and I am here to talk about the iceberg of understanding what you need to do inside of an agency to properly do local SEO for any of your clients. And Kaylin and Russell are I found them on the internet. They were actually an answer to, you could say, prayer. I was just saying, I need to figure out some of these answers, and they popped up immediately on YouTube. And I started to talk to them, and I said, these guys know the real thing. And I've been with them for about a year now and found out that it's very much true. A lot of what they talk about works very quickly. However, inside of their group, and you guys are free to jump in at any time because this is pretty much going to go on your your site anyway. Um, there is so much content there. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know where to jump in. And as we're going to see, there's a lot of different layers. And so that's why we're here to talk about how do we navigate all the stuff that you have inside of your site so you know exactly where to go and you know what you need to know before you jump into a different group, um, and you can get the most out of it. Does that sound like a good idea and that they summarized that fairly well?
That sounds
Great
great.
job. Fantastic,
Okay.
Christopher.
All right. So I think I am going to go ahead and share this screen. And anybody that's watching this, I'm not a professional podcaster or interview. I am just like you. I'm just a person that's running an agency. And so what I've done is I ran this past Caitlin and Russell, and we've kind of came up with an iceberg of the tiers of training and optimization and just knowledge of what it takes um, to optimize a local SEO profile. Let me give you the first run through really quickly, and then we're going to go through each one of those layers. So the first level is just your basic setup. How do you get a profile up and going? How do you optimize it really quickly? And the next one is what do you do to optimize or really to automate the process? And there's some tools like Page and a couple other things that will take you to the next step after you've learned the basics of just what the profile is. And then from there, we're going to talk about how to dive in a little bit deeper and then tie your website or your client's website to the Google Business Profile. And what do you need to do on their um, website so that Google gets really excited and says, yeah, these are a good match from what the keywords are that somebody is putting into search and your profile and the website so the ranking goes up. And then the next layer we're going to get into is something actually that's a little bit underneath the website itself, which is schema. And that's kind of like special code that Google looks at that says, all right, they've set that up the website in such a way that I can understand this information better. And then I can serve the page to the right audience, um, a little bit more targeted search results. That sounds about right for when we talk about schema.
Yes.
Yeah, that's close enough for beginning.
Okay. Then we're going to talk. The next layer is what do you do away from your website and then the Google Business Profile? So we're going to call this off-page and link building. And how do you get the search engine and the answer engine to look at the rest of the web so then the web's pointing back to your profile and website that says, everybody's talking about this. This is a really important profile and website, and it's worthy of being at the top of the search results or the results when somebody's typing something in, whether that's
Hmm.
actually search, phone, or whatever, or
Yeah,
inside of the
all
answer
of the
engine.
above. Visibility.
Yeah, and the last one is what do you do if you really want to go all guns out and big gusto? How do you just dominate the web? And that's going to be your fifth layer down there. And then the last one, actually, there's another sixth one that Russell had me put in there. Is like, then how do you manage all of this all at once? How do you get AI to help you out to get this all going in the right direction without having to hire 10 billion people to do it for you? That sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start off at the very beginning, which is the basic setup. Um, I've got, what I'll probably do is just I'll link this chart or this document to anybody who's watching and you guys can take a look at this. At the very basic setup, what do we need to have to start off with starting off with your an agency and your profile, and then where do we find that particularly inside of your network?
So if somebody is starting out and they really don't have any SEO experience, but they're in a transition, they want to, create their own local agency, they're going to start out in Local Agency Elite. And in Local Agency Elite, I'm going to teach sales, like how to go out, how to position yourself. We're
Hey
going
guys, honey, can we make a decision here? Like when you guys go back and forth, he could start with the paper and then you could share and go into the members area and show. So Christopher guides from the perspective of someone using the area, and then he can share with you, and then you can go in and show them where that is.
Okay.
Because we
Yeah,
have
we could do
hundreds
that.
of people asking exactly what Christopher is saying. Is that okay with you
Yep.
guys?
Yeah, that's great.
It'll make it so much more poignant for them because they'll know exactly where to go. And thank you.
That's a really good point. I don't even know where to go. That's why we're here.
Yes, and from now on, you will be the last person that is disoriented.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Christopher.
You're welcome.
Okay. So let's start here.
So
All
it's on
right.
the left. Tell them very specifically, assuming they have zero knowledge,
All
they're
right.
in the network.
If you have just joined the network, you will, let's say that you're in the super intelligent AI SEO network lobby and you have not even made, and you're wondering what all of these spaces are over. Now, these are called collections. So you've got an AI SEO collection, you've got an AI collection. Within the collection, there are spaces, and most of our spaces have some sort of price tag attached to them. The Local Agency Elite training, this is our basic baseline. You're a transition person. You want to get into having your own agency. You don't have a lot of SEO experience. Possibly, you might. And you want to get started and you want to start offering map engine optimization services to your clients. In that, you're going to have.
Can you show them? Like we're now still in the lobby. Go over to the places and show them what we're talking about.
Over here, sorry, yes. So in here, you're going to have your classroom. And how I have set up the classroom is when it opens, this is what you're going to see. This is always going to be open. These are your access. So you have access to submit a Quora form, which you won't understand that at first, but there'll be information on that. There'll be a brand signals control panel. Not all of these are you can sign up for a brand signals control panel, but you won't actually have training on brand signals unless you're part of the Jimmy Kelly entity SEO. But I put them all of the software access here because it's just a quick, easy way for people to get to it. So these two right here may not make the most sense. I'm going to actually move this up here. You will get access to the Fast Sites AI. So this gives you the suite of tools. You simply just go in here, click on it, request a form, and I will give you access to your Fast Sites AI.
And page should go to the top as well, probably.
Page should go to the top. Let's also move Quora down because Quora is a less, all right.
Let me ask you a couple questions on here.
Okay, so
you
go
got a
ahead,
lot
ask
of you got a
question.
bunch of tools on there, which I know
Right.
what they are. But
Right.
if I'm a new person to come in, I'm like, oh my gosh, my head is swimming.
Yes.
Like there's different levels of agency owners. Somebody who's just starting out. Like I've got
Yes.
no experience whatsoever. I just maybe quit my job or I've had my own business and I've had to manage my own profile, but now I want to expand out. Um, Pretty much set you up for like a T-ball swing here. What level of knowledge do I need to have before I come into the Local Agency Elite?
You need to have some basic computer skills. You will need to know what a Google Business Profile is. You're going to want to know basically how to interact with a Google Business Profile. I do have a course on business profile setup. So this does teach you how to set up a Google Business Profile. We have sales training information. So if you're not familiar with outreach, but you should have a comfort level in talking to people. You should have the ability to pick up the phone and either call people or go into people's businesses. To I would say that that's the biggest thing, because if you can have all the skill behind the computer, but if you can't go out and actually talk to people or partnership with somebody that does, it's going to be very difficult for you to get clients. So there's got to be a pairing of being able to do the technical work behind it, plus being able to talk to businesses and feel confident about that.
Okay. Once I've gone through agency, or I'm in local agency elite,
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to get from this? I'll rephrase this another way.
Great question. That's awesome. I
Um,
love it.
what am I going to take away from this at the end? So like once I've gone through this training, like where am I going to be at the end of this so I can go out and confidently show the world or tell the world I can do these things. What are these things?
You should be able to um,
Great
go
question.
go into a business and help them know the difference well, not even know the difference, but know that there's more than that. There's a map engine and that there's a search engine, and that 80% of a local business's clients come from the map engine and not the search engine, and that they should really be focused on optimizing their map engines, and they should know that there's more than one map engine. Where Page focuses on, and Page is the software that it's not included with this, but you do have a membership access point, which is where this Page sign up is. It brings you into their system, and then Justin, who is the developer of Page, knows that you're part of this training platform, which gives you some special perks for being part of our organization. But
We'll get into Page at the next level. So
exactly. So
um,
it gives you the ability to set up a Google Business profile, set up a client's Apple Business Connect profile, their Bing profile. It should give you the terminology to be able to speak intelligently to a local business owner as to why they need these things, why it's
And they
important.
need, more importantly, why they need you, and they're going to have killer skills on how to manage and rank and include and increase traffic for a local Google business profile and beyond.
Okay. We give them free access to a Embed My Reviews, which is a $99 a month software system. So if they wanted to initially go out and just sell review management and not get into map management at first, they don't have to pay for that Embed My Reviews. They can use our software system, which they get for free as part of this, which is a $99 a month software system if they were to go on to Embed My Reviews. And
okay, that brings up an interesting side point there on just services that you can offer. So you're saying that there's even the possibility of, hey, I could do profile management or review management, and those can be separate. So
yes,
Correct.
depending on what my level is of starting off an agency or how I want to specifically niche myself, I can
Correct.
go through local agency elite and know if I want to do one or either or both at the same time.
100%. And the
And
reason for
then
the the
and
reason
then
for
also
that,
you could say, if I don't want to do both, I can easily know what was inside my realm of influence, so I'm not overselling myself or extending myself. And then this is a little bit, obviously why you're in a group is that if I don't want to do the other skills, there is somebody inside of the group here that will be able to do that for me.
correct. And one of the things we noticed, Christopher, is that there are people that they try their hand at SEO and they're like, I'm not technical enough. And then they just flourish dealing with reviews and helping the client coach the client through reviews and feel better about their business. And like, for example, coaches are good at review management and helping people understand how importantly they are. And then they don't have to have SEO skills if you don't want. Additionally, there are people making greater than $10,000 a month just managing reviews for 5 clients or less. No SEO, no managing Google business profiles, just review management. So this is something that's just worthy of note. And so we
Yeah,
wanted to make sure that people knew that they had those options.
yeah, that's really
right.
important.
So
Mhm.
what's interesting is, like, within Page, there is a review management system. But why pay for page and the campaign for page if all you're doing is going and selling review management, like Russell said, is quite lucrative in and of itself, when you can access the Embed My Reviews enterprise software system for free as a part of the member. And let's say that you're getting really good and all you're doing is going out and selling reviews and you don't want to do anything with the maps. Well, then, like you brought up, find somebody within this community that would like to handle the maps portion of it or the SEO portion of it or the pay-per-click. Because once people begin to know, like, and trust you, they will start to come to you and say, hey, do you know anybody that does X, Y, and Z? And then you have that capacity to, yeah, I do. And then you hop in here into the chat feature. Let me show you right here. You hop in right here and you say, hey, I signed up a client and I want to, and they're asking for this. Does anybody out there familiar with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay, that's pretty good. Did we cover most of the things on the first level where we know how to set up a
Yeah.
profile and we know how to do reviews? Is there anything else that we missed on there?
Let's see. What else is on there? There is a couple other things that are down here. We do have the Quora information in there, which is, and we do have creating a one-page Google site. So if they wanted something very simple, they had a client that says, hey, I don't even have a website yet. I want to get set up. This Google one-page site would be a great place to start. It's not going to be the most beautiful web design thing, but it would get them up and going, even for themselves personally. Say they want to get a
Yeah.
website up for themselves and get their own business up and ranking. Doing the course on the Google one page site would be amazing for
I've
that.
got a great testimonial for just that section. I sold a guy on making a website for him. And I said, let's just get you a one page site up really quickly while we develop your site. And I made that just following the instructions and just a little bit design skill. And he goes, I love this. I don't want anything else. And we stopped right there. So then he spent all this money to get
Right.
the site up. And I said, well, I can't rightfully charge you for the same price for a so why don't we just shift some of those funds? We'll put it towards doing local SEO management for you right away. And that's great. So I was able to retain a client that way. So
Awesome.
it's a great course, very
Yes.
quick and easy.
So especially if you're transitioning and you're new and you're just don't spend a tremendous amount of time trying to build this elaborate website. Just go in and create this Google one page site, which, like Russell said, almost always ranks very well for SEO. And then so your site is ranking so people can find you. Use these tools to create your own Google business profile and get yourself going. And then we have training. We have monthly training in here, and we're always available through direct messaging. So if you're working on this and you're just getting started, just direct messaging me. I'm quite responsive. Oh, geez, goodness, didn't mean to do all that. To how do I do this? And I usually can get back to somebody within an hour or a couple hours to answer their questions. All right.
Great. Let's move
I'll
on to the next level
give
then.
it back to you then.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one. Perfect, guys. This is looking great.
All right, we got.
Can you grab the screen back or do I have to stop sharing?
I think. Oh, maybe
You
I
got it.
have. I think I'm back, aren't I? You guys can see my screen?
Oh, there. It's up here. I've got to switch screens on mine. Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, so the next layer we're going to get into is a little bit more technical on, oh, we'll talk about software. So I guess here's where you can take about like 2 or 3 minutes to jump into Page. And now my specific questions about Page are, what's the cost per month on this? Why should somebody spend that money on there? Because I think it seems like quite a bit depending on what you charge per month on the optimization. So if you could go through and say, maybe give a little background of like, well, we tried to manage it all on our own. And the reason that we decided to go with Page is because of these functionalities and just the ROI we got out of it.
All right, let me open that up for you. Just give me a second.
And then as she's opening up, the reason I put this at the second layer is we're going to use a tool so you could do all this work that Paige is doing inside the Google Business Profile itself.
You could.
But it's going to be a lot more manual work where you have to go
Yes.
in there to watch what's going on. And Paige will reduce your time in each individual of the profile so that you can service more profiles with your individual time.
Yes, dozens of hours of additional work to be precise, especially when you start to have more than 10 clients.
All right. Can you guys see, like Kayla?
Yes.
That's super. Okay. So why would you, okay, Page is $100 a month just to have the agency profile without running any businesses in there. It's $100 a month. And then for each business that you add, it's $100 a month and it's prorated from the date that you start it. So if you start it mid-month, when your invoicing comes up, it's only going to be for however many days you use it. Or if you have a client that cancels mid-month, you can cancel it and you don't pay for the entire month. So it's $100 prorated based on the number of days that you actually used the service in that month. So what it gives you is it gives you a bunch of automations. So you can give a link to your client like this, that they can upload photos. So let's say that it makes it very easy for them to give you photos so that you can continue to optimize their website with photos. You could do this yourself. You could have them sending you photos via text message or WhatsApp or whatever, and then you could put the photos up there themselves. You could upload your own images. You could upload your own text tags. But what Page is doing in this system is it is optimizing the captions for the keywords that you're searching for. When it's putting out automated question and answers, it's publishing them. You can see this one is going to publish on May 11th. It will create a question based on the client's website, and then it will create an answer based on that. And it will also be very specific to the keywords that you're choosing to go with. It supplies reporting. So you don't need to do this. It will email out, as long as you put the client's email in there, it will tell your client exactly what you're doing. So see here, it says it sent a report to them 23 hours ago. It published a question for them 3 days ago. It published an answer for them 18 days ago. So you could do all of this yourself. You don't have to pay for Page. You can go into the Google Business Profile and have a schedule on your calendar to do these things on a regular basis, to go in and to publish the question and answer. But it is set up in its automations so that in a particular business here, as you're looking at it, it will allow you to do your cities and your target tracking and your profile optimization, and you can see your optimizations. All of these types of things can be done. You can do all of these manually. There's nothing that says you have to use Page. Page is just kind of a little bit of a set and forget here. You put in your targeted keywords right here, and then you set up your automations right here, and it just allows you to just send the reporting to the client, and you just go in on a case by case basis and make sure that it's set up properly and that it's optimized to its best ability. But it's not necessary. You can do map engine optimization without Page. And if you are going to optimize their Apple Maps and their Bing Maps, you will have to do it without an automated system like Page, because there is no automated systems for Bing or for Apple.
Okay, so
But
this
we do
is
show you exactly how to do it. It's
Yeah.
important.
so here's imagine me sitting here going, "Oh, I just started off my agency. Oh, I'm throwing out a lot of money," or I'm just a cost-effective person. Where do you think, in your mind, is the break-even point? Obviously, if it's just one account, if you just got one account, it doesn't make sense to get Page because you're spending like $100 plus another $100.
Well, I kind of recommend this for people that are like super fresh and they just have no confidence level at all, is that they go out and they find a business that would pay them is as little as $250. And then they use that $250 to get page and create the automation, which is going to get them the results faster because it's going, if you're going to do this yourself, you need to know how to write these service descriptions. You need
Yeah.
to you need to know what service descriptions are in there. You need to create 100 service descriptions, but no more than 100 service descriptions because once you get over 100, they start to penalize you. You need to know all of this stuff. So I would just say, I would go out to a client and say, I'm just getting started in this business and I would like to offer you this. Just cover my cost of 250, which would cover the $100, get that, and it would cover the $100 for the to run their campaign, and with a caveat that said in 60 days or 30 days or 90 days, whichever you're comfortable with, saying it's going to go up to $500 a month.
If you like what
Because,
you got, if we do
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because within 30, 60, and 90 days, there will be reports that show that their reach has increased, especially if you only start with 3 keywords. I would never
True.
start anybody with the 10 keywords that he allows because it's based on the number of reviews that they receive. It's based on the number. And so it can only pull from those keywords. And so, you come in and you say, I'd like to, let's say you're a plumber and you say, I'm getting started in this, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's somebody that from some organization so that you already have some sort of know, like, and trust relationship with them. You then are able to go in and say, hey, just cover my costs. And if it works out for you, let's do this. Let me manage your maps and start
Okay.
out that way. And
All
so
right.
I think that Paige takes off some of the anxiety of knowing what keyword should I pick? How should I write how should I respond to the reviews? What questions should I choose? Paige chooses all of them for you. And so so I actually believe that it's something that should be integrated right away unless you have an extreme confidence level of being able to write your question and answers, write your updates, that you're very disciplined to make sure that every week you're getting in there and and putting a new photo in there with a new
Yeah, I think
update.
that the discipline part is almost more important than your technical knowledge of knowing what to write. I have my own agency where I actually have a schedule board and I have somebody make all those, and
Hmm.
it's a lot of work to manage all that. Um, so that's a really good selling point on it of just the discipline of making sure that reviews or updates and other things get out there or new pictures
Yep.
get put up in time. Okay, let's move to the next level, which is it's going to be Jimmy Kelly's. So, how do you optimize a profile along with your website? And before I get there, as I'm going to share the screen, where should somebody be at when they're ready to get to this next level?
Um, let me
Okay.
go. Let me go
Um,
into Jimmy Kelly. All right.
I
So
have some feedback on all this.
Go for
yes,
it, Russell.
and go for it.
Okay. So the foundational thinking of your skill set development should be you don't require anything other than skill sets on the inside of a Google Business account in order to truly help a client. So the first phase thinking is simply you don't need to engage in any sort of technologies, for example, that provides signals. Brand signals provides something called impression boost functions using specialized API functions through Jimmy Kelly's private system.
Yeah,
Jimmy
just
Kelly's
for
pri
everybody that's listening, when he's talking about impressions, we're talking about this level down here. Oops.
Yes, we're talking about the fact that Jimmy's system moves into an area where it uses an API via Google to provide impressions for the website occasionally without harming any of the website functions. It's all proprietary in black box. Kaylin and I don't know all of the functions that it does, but it works very, very well as long as the site is structurally sound to Google standards And then he has a little bit of pixie dust that he puts in there. And I do know that it's a magic box function, uses impressions very lightly and within terms of service of Google. But because it's not a software that Kayla and I developed, although I've been side by side with Jimmy in the trenches building related technologies, which we'll discuss later, that's a little bit more intense than just managing what's called what Kaylin calls proof of life signals, which are simply signals that Google is watching for inside a Google business profile or a local profile. Proof of life signals are simply if nobody ever logs into a Google business profile, even if a business has claimed it, Google thinks there's nobody managing it. That alone will prevent the profile from doing well over time. That alone, just simply not going in and dusting. In a way, you're providing a service for your clients, just going in and dusting the counters off and logging into the Google Business Profile when they share a manager fee, walking around doing some dusting and wiping the windows and making sure that the open and close dates are correct and that the reviews are all there and people there's not angry customers sitting outside the door. You're just basically cleaning. It's house cleaning, and that alone is a service worth several $100s a month. There are
And
business owners that can't do that. Go ahead, honey.
what I find interesting is I don't necessarily look and say, okay, if you're running page, you shouldn't run brand signals. Okay,
Yeah, I was getting there, but I want them to understand the building block. This building
right,
block is deeply missed. You
right,
don't have to do any SEO at all. You're doing
right.
SEO by simply logging in, and you coined the term.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a proof of life housekeeping. You're managing the internal, it's called on page for those of you who are SEOs or advanced SEOs. On page is no longer just publishing the HTML pages of a website. Google now tracks all behaviors from users, both inside the private areas of the accounts they give you, as well as the external pages that they give you. And what people don't understand is that that's a form of SEO. It's called indigenous SEO or ASEO. Kalen calls it proof of life. It means that there's somebody inside the area. Look, by the way, guys, think about it. Google just said, by the way, if you have not logged into a Gmail account over the last 3 years, we're deleting your account. Your Google business profile is exactly the same. Think about this, my friends. You should get paid a minimum of $200 a month just for dusting. I'm going to
Okay,
repeat that.
great.
I'm going to repeat that. You should be getting paid a minimum of $200 a month just for logging in and dusting and making sure that the dates and there's no angry customers or that there's some negative review. Yeah, in fact, you don't even have to do the reviews, just logging in and maintaining the account. That's before SEO. If you're ready to start doing actual SEO, then you sign up for the Jimmy Kelly stuff and you want to start adding some pixie dust and some more black box stuff that's not transparent, maybe slightly less transparent. Then you'll go to Jimmy because you're going to have to learn some basic SEO skills and some more advanced SEO skills, preparing for a variety of other things that we have later that Christopher will get into.
Let's
What I,
talk
what I,
about, oh, sorry, Caitlin. Let me get just a quick question.
yeah, go
Since you
ahead.
brought up pricing on what you think somebody should charge, if you're talking in the basic, just, hey, I'm going to go in there and look at the website. And then Caitlin also, you're saying, hey, if we just hook up page, you're looking at a minimum of $250 per month.
Yes, and you cannot generalize across local businesses because they all make different money. For example, Kaylin and I had friends who owned a coffee shop in Woodland Park, Colorado. They couldn't pay a lot, but they could pay me $50 a month. All I ever did was log in and just make sure the traffic's coming in. I held her hand and she gave me a cup of coffee. I showed her how things were working. And for a while, they didn't even understand what they didn't understand. So you're getting paid to generally understand how these systems work. And I think people forget you're not in there just to manipulate rankings. You're in there to hold hands. And as Kaylin says, I want to emphasize it because it really has helped people understand it's proof of life inside the systems to validate that the business owner, our coffee ownership friend, barely had time to log in. In fact, she said she only logged in once every 3 months. That's getting kind of sketchy for your
Yeah,
rankings.
on the end of for Google.
Here's what people don't understand. It affects your rankings, not the major ones. Not like, oh, I'm ranked for steakhouse. I'm the only visible steakhouse in the entire city of Denver. No, but for multiple keywords in your area, your service areas, and the rest, housekeeping can make the difference between you ranking above two others, which we'll teach in the deeper layers, or not ranking at all. If you never log in, it starts to go silent.
Let's make people salivate. We got this part, we got page.
Hmm.
When you get into the Jimmy Kelly level of training, and we're going to start putting on brand signals, what is approximately the amount that you see people charging per client? Now, again, with the caveat that it's going to be different depending on the niche that you're in.
Yeah, good caveat, but I'll let Kaylin answer that.
But
She's really good at that.
what I found is a lot of the clients that are selling brand signals, they're selling it for $1,000 to $1,500 a month. Just for the Google business profile and putting it into brand signals. Now, brand signals is $119 a month. Okay, and you pay that directly to Jimmy Kelly through the AI Enhance.
We've given you special pricing for that because of our partnership with him.
Right. And what's going to also come very quickly is all of the site structure training that you received to make brand signals work, which, is used. And when Russell's saying it's Google API, this is using cell tower interfaces. So this is not fake traffic or click-through traffic or brute force traffic. This is basically cell phone tower traffic that's going in and dusting, going in and dusting, and so that it appears that's, the driving directions are coming in there. That's the pixie dust that he's talking about, because these are real active Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile cell phone interfaces that are interacting with the Google business profiles.
It's
what's going to be coming. What's going to be coming with the Jimmy Kelly thing is there's also one that that we've had some sneak peek access to, that's also going to be working from the organic search engine, the search engine, instead of just the MEO, the map engine optimization. It's going to do organic search engine optimization on the website itself. But the same exact training that Jimmy taught last year, which teaches you how to optimize the images. He's taught us, the image structure type stuff. All of that is needed for the new software. And he's also going to be giving significant, because the retail price or the wholesale price of brand signals to any agency out there that's not part of our training is $170. The retail cost of brand signals, if somebody were to just type in brandsignals.com and just go set it up for their own business, I believe starts at $250 a month. Yeah. So there's a significant discount that's given to students that are using brand signals. Plus, they're getting trained directly by Jimmy through the training that we did. Plus, we got the bi-monthly access where if you don't have questions, you've got something running, plus then there's the direct access through the forums where you can request driving directions and the brand boost and stuff like that, which are not accessible to the general public.
So with Jimmy Kelly's knowledge in software, you with the right niches, particularly we're talking like high-end niches. When I say high-end, I'm talking about like service industries, plumbers. Another way to put it is niches that have a higher customer lifetime value.
Right.
That's much better to look at. So like a coffee shop doesn't necessarily have a high customer lifetime value. It's going to take a lot more people coming in to be able to recoup the cost on that.
Yes, 100%.
So when you're looking at getting about $1,000 a month per client that you have coming in. Now, the reason I am framing it this way is when you're looking at the cost of what I don't know what the price is for the Jimmy Kelly training, plus the software, you're going to understand what the ROI can be for you once you get into what we're going to talk about is what do we actually have to learn in Jimmy Kelly. So just really quickly, where do I need to be at with my mind and understanding the basic SEO structure that Jimmy Kelly teaches, and then how that ties into the software. So correct me if I'm wrong, I need to understand how the website structure works and get that set correctly before I use the Pixie Dust software. Did I get that right?
Well, you can get them started in the brand signals straight away and then and see how it reacts, and then go in and do the site structure. You don't need to automatically tell the client, hey, we're going to have to do site restructuring in order for this to work. If I were to go out and sell brand signals, how I would sell it to a client is I would say, this is what it's going to cost you, and we're going to put you into brand signals, and we're going to start out. Again, I always recommend you start out with 3 keywords, even in brand signals, because it's the same scenario. And then Jimmy has even validated this, is that there's only so many signals. So if you go with all 7 keywords straight out the bat, it's going to reduce the top,
Yeah,
that you'll be able,
you
yeah,
dilute
you
the
do, you dilute.
effectiveness of
Yeah.
the across 7 keywords instead of 3 keywords.
Yeah. So if I were to go to a client selling them brand signals, I might set it up as a tier system where I'd say we're going to start out and it's going to increase as we add keywords. The cost is going to increase incrementally. So we're going to start out. It's going to be $500-$600 a month, wherever you choose. I would put them in the system, and then I would see how it reacts. At 30 days, we would be able to see, based on the training, whether it needs site optimization. That's when you could go in and you could say, you're in the system and we got some movement, but after I took this 30 days to audit your site and we need to do site restructuring.
Yeah.
That's when I would take your philosophy where you kind of take the site restructuring cost and you embed it into a few months so that you're not hitting them all up front. Say,
Right.
I say
In
that.
many other ways. Yep. Many other
Yeah.
ways.
So what do you need to be part of Jimmy? You need to feel confident that when you log into somebody's website, you're not going to destroy their website.
Yep.
You need to have confidence to be able to get into all of the various different websites, whether it's a WordPress website, whether it's a
Wix.
Wix. You have to have enough confidence in website development that you can log in to whatever site whether they've got it sitting on Squarespace, whether they've got it sitting on, what's the new one that Luke used that a lot of people are using now.
Yeah, I'm cautious with that one because they're doing something until we look at
Right.
what's
So
going on with the images.
is you need to be comfortable doing on-site work. If you're not comfortable doing on-site work, any of Jimmy's stuff is not for you.
Sure, anybody's watching, on-site work is we're changing the titles on the pages. We're going to maybe changing a little bit of the paragraph text at the very beginning. You're going to change the URLs, and there's some work around the images themselves. And so you have to be comfortable with all those different elements and understanding how they play together is essentially Jimmy Kelly's work. Did I get
And
that?
submitting them for indexing, submitting the images for
That's
index,
right.
knowing what meta tags are, knowing what an alt tag is, being able to remove alt tags and meta tags, according to the way that Jimmy says to do it. You need to become, or at least feel like through the training, because I feel like the training is so clear that if you could invest a couple months in the training to get comfortable enough to be comfortable with on-site, optimization,
Yeah.
through what he's shown. But just know, at the $397 a month for the Jimmy Kelly training, what you're really getting access to is his software and his training and the things that
Yeah.
are behind it.
I've taken a couple people through it. I took one person who was just a very basic VA
Uh-oh.
from the Philippines. I said, "Hey, can you watch a couple of these videos and see what's going on?" And she didn't know anything about SEO, but she got to the point of knowing at least what needed to be changed, and she could point it out to me, and then I could go in and go do the work. So
Yep.
I'm just giving whoever's watching this a good understanding of where you can be as a person.
Hmm.
Then I gave another person who had ads and SEO experience already, and I said, "Hey, I want you to go watch these sets of videos, and then let's go optimize the site together." And they
Yeah.
were able to get it within about a month's time.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to address that, guys. Christopher, especially your skills are good. Well, here's what we do not offer anywhere in our membership area. We do not offer the safe non-liability functions of learning how to use WordPress. We do not offer any access to website training that teaches you how to not destroy your domain or website. We do not offer any advanced trainings on schema, how to not collapse your e-commerce website. It's we would expect you to have extant training in the event, or a professional like Christopher, who's interviewing us now, which you can also see if he's available for hire, or anyone else. We do not provide any of that for very specific reasons. Most of the people that come to us for the most advanced, the more advanced tools either have somebody they use, or they use somebody in our network like Christopher, or they have somebody in-house that does it for them. We have intentionally stayed out of that area for a variety of different reasons. And we've kept the review management software in there for those of you who decide, wow, I'm a micro agency. I'm only doing a little extra work when I come home from my day job. I haven't quit my day job yet. I don't want to learn these skill sets. I'm not technical.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. So we give the people persons the review management, and of course we offer them really cool things like perhaps the Quora blogs or Quora creation systems that they don't need to actually log into an advanced website optimization thing. So that's just to be clear, we offer none of that. If you're looking at this training for any kind of advice on how to do technical stuff that Christopher can do all day long, we don't offer it. We offer relationships to be able to help you with that.
It's a really good I'll add this is that the way that if you get into the right programs and you know where to look inside of the group, you got a very nice stair step to get there. So let's say you come and you're like, oh, the Jimmy Kelly stuff is way out over my head. Well, there's a nice way to ease into that,
Yes,
to
that's
be able to
exactly
get
what we
into there.
intended. We intended on doing that, and you're now just helping everybody crystallize it because mapping that out has not been the easiest thing to build as a large community, and it certainly hasn't been the easiest thing to map out. So thank goodness you're helping us.
Yeah, and there's enough people in the group that you can say, "Hey, I'm having trouble with this."
Hmm.
And the group is organic enough that somebody will pop up and say, "All right, here's your answer to this," and then you can easily decide, "Hey, I'm over my head. I want to hire this out," or "I'm in the safe
Yes.
space. Like I've got a very basic website. I can go ahead and take a stab at this. I've got a good relationship with this person. I say, hey, I might blow up your website. Can we try this?" And the client might come back and say, like, "Yeah, I don't care. The website's not been doing
Kadoosh.
anything anyway. Let's give it a shot." I've had that
Exactly.
with some clients
Yes.
when you have the right relationship with them.
100%. And that's why you're so invaluable in teaching relationships. Because, guys, as Kaylin says, and as I hear you say sometimes, team human is the thing. That's why we're doing this. That's why Christopher called us up and said, hey, we need to, this is for humans. At least until further notice, AI is not going to be buying stuff for everybody on the internet. That's about 2 or 3 months out. Just kidding. But the whole point here is that we are still in team human, and it's a relationship-based business.
Even if AI goes buys it, it still has to be a human that puts it out onto the web so the AI can go find
Correct.
it at this
For
point.
now. Yep.
Okay. Um, Caitlin, did I cut? You were going to say something? Did you get to say what you wanted to say?
I just, I feel like Jimmy Kelly's basic on-site training is he's very he simplified it. And so if you're just interested in learning how to do on-site, I think the training is great. It's a great tool. It kind of teaches you, what H1s are, what H2s are, what meta tags are, what alt
Yeah.
tags are. And so, from that perspective, even if you didn't necessarily see yourself using brand signals, it might be something you wanted to hop into for a couple months just to learn how to do his on-site training.
What when you get into that training, you'll start to get an understanding of what entities are. We talk about that inside the training, and
Hmm.
then a vector database. The vector database is important in the sense that you understand how AI categorizes things or how the answer engines are beginning to put things into their four-dimensional space on understanding the difference between or the convergence between a page and then also a search intent. And so when you understand how the vector database is being used, then it helps you optimize the page better because you can say, I understand that I'm trying to connect these 2 points and I'm going to be right in the middle of them. So if you don't get that right away, that's okay. But the training will get you to that. With that, Russell, I know I'm going to jump a little bit ahead. What other things did you have inside of your net or your membership site that talk about entities if somebody doesn't know what entities are?
Yes. The more advanced training we have is by invitation only, and that's called Move 37. And one of our longtime friends and somebody who launched with Jimmy and myself something called Entity Establishment is Daryl Osborne. And Daryl Osborne is one of the co chairs of Move 37. Move 37 is a name that lovingly comes and humorously comes from the AlphaGo game where AI for the first time in history beat the grandmaster at the game, the very complex game of Go, which is a legacy historical Chinese game. It's equivalent to chess, basically. Inside that area, we are going to teach extremely advanced schema, including my one web ring to rule them all, which is basically designed to integrate schema as well as SEO, as well as answer engine optimization and AI into large systems. For example, the average client for something like that would be between $5,000 and $50,000 per month. Those are extremely large networks of integration that involve highly skilled years worth of experience, including from our dear friend Daryl Osborne, who teaches advanced schema. We're going to teach you basic schema, of course, but that's what we have inside the Move 37 area. Because you're going to go up to that's a level where you've got to understand a little bit about team building. You probably have one or two people in your agency that are at least helping you, or probably either a personal assistant or have some skills, or you're mentoring with Christopher or Kaylin or myself, or you have a basic understanding about how, and you've lost basically how large your networks can be developed and how larger ticket clients can be managed. There's a couple of skill sets that you need there.
Yes,
And we teach you a lot of that as well.
this is definitely the best of the best when you start getting into this group. Now, when I say
Correct.
you're the best of the best, it doesn't mean that you have to be the best of the best. It's just that if you get in the group, you're going to be the best of the best, and you're going to become the best of the best because of the convergence of knowledge that's in there. I've been in
Correct.
enough groups that when I saw this starting to happen, I was like, this is where, um, not to see to be hyperbolic, but it really is the cutting edge of what's going on out in this new conglomeration of SEO, ads, networking, because of how AI is reshaping everything. And AI is taking it all into one under one umbrella. Everybody's coming together saying, hey, we used to be separated. And we're noticing that there's this convergence. And that's why Move 37 is that cutting edge group of everybody trying to figure out what's going on and how do we correctly work the system. So
Correct.
we have it here on the third layer. We're going into schema. And I gave you the T-ball of talking about what we're going to do with entities. What do we do with Daryl Osborne's schema on this third
Yes.
level? And why is
Yes.
it at the third level?
There's two things. Daryl Osborne is an infinity loop with Kaylin, my work with my and Kaylin's work on JSON. The common denominator is JSON. JSON type files is what schema uses, and schema markup is a way to tell what used to be dumb spiders, which have now become super smart, self-aware spiders, partially self-aware, synthetically aware, how to think about all of the things. So the way that Kaylin's work and my work combine, it's an infinity loop with Daryl's, is for years, Daryl and I have been working on just schema to get your site ranked better. Now, when it comes to answer engines, that for example, OpenAI's chat has a little thing says, "Do you want to search the web?" And that's it's reducing Google's traffic by upwards of 20 to 25% or more. Okay, because now people are going directly from search engines to answer engines. Well, guess what? The common denominator that will never change between those two is JSON files, schema. So the old spiders use schema markup in HTML to determine, wow, this is a really coherent site, meaning somebody has done work to make sure that we understand how all the ideas are put together in a way that's structured data compared to brute forcers who are just spitting out millions of pages of content with no structure, right? Additionally, artificial intelligent agents such as ChatGPT 4.0, 4.5, o3, Claude, you name them. When they parse the web, they too are also looking for JSON. They favor sites with JSON over sites that do not have JSON. Interesting. Not only that, when you talk to them, because now you're in Narnia, you've gone through the wardrobe, you're no longer on Earth, the animals aren't dumb. They're not old dumb spiders. You've gone through the wardrobe, now you're talking to animals that speak. Okay, the new AI systems talk back. All you have to do is ask them. They will tell you what kind of websites they want to read.
Yeah.
I've had many conversations with AIs that are like, oh my gosh, we love your guys' stuff. Daryl is awesome. You're awesome. Give me more of that. Why? Because JSON files schema allows them to reason faster because everything is all organized. So they
Yeah.
don't have to spread all over the place. And that means you rank on both engines at the same time.
What HTML is to humans, which makes it very easy for us to read. So it's got titles and things that makes us be able to go, ah, I can see exact information I see really quick. That's what JSON is for the spiders. Is it's categorized data in such a way that it's able to read it very quickly and understands the content and the context a lot faster because of the
Correct.
data bits that we put into it. So if
Yeah,
you're just looking to go, what's JSON? What's
right.
HTML? That's the
But slow,
very
but slow,
basic understanding of
right.
it.
But slow down with me a little bit, Christopher. I really want everybody to get this. It's not just that anymore. The AI systems are getting so advanced that they deal with symbolic reasoning. That means that when something has a strong enough weight to mark it up with a JSON file, meaning let's say your website is about electric bicycles. When your brand is marked up and given special prominence within schema, and it correlates to other things on the page, the AI systems, which are no longer spiders, but AI parsers, now have an easier time reading that site. They won't even bother with sites that don't have it. So when you ask about that particular electric bike and that particular brand and that particular domain, it's going to quickly, boom, like lightning speed, just pull it back up and say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, even if it's not the most highly ranked on the page, because it can reason more clearly because you're writing for the AI systems rather than for the humans alone. And if you're writing for both, the AI knows that, and the symbols it creates through schema and JSON, it knows that those files are discussion worthy, meaning conversational worthy, conversational AI. People are missing this. The transition from ranking to conversation is also the same thing that was ranking on the search engines. So for the transition from ranking perspective to conversational perspective, it's still the same file. It's schema market with JSON. So we teach both of those in Move 37. And by the way, there's only 3 people on the entire planet that understand this stuff to this level. There's only 3 people. Okay. One of them is Daryl Osborne and myself and Kalen. Well, I'll use Kalen and I as one. The other is Jason Barnard from Call of the Cube. Okay. And there's a few hidden people that are trying to figure this out, like my friend Darsh, okay, from another organization, and you know about his work as well.
Hmm.
So the whole point here is that this is so new that Move 37 has to be invitation only, because those people who are writing this way now are basically feeding the artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence for the next several years. And we have a window of time for the next 2 years to get all the brands, all the websites, all the domains, and all the conversational pieces about your brand and your client's brand into that system.
Okay, how do we know that schema is actually that important? You say it's only 1 of 3 people that
Yeah,
it's so important.
yeah, yeah. And let me make sure that it doesn't sound like Mr. Hypester, like I'm, like the sycophant ChatGPT 4 that says you're the only one true son of AI. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm saying is that the professional experts in the field of search engine optimization who've been following the knowledge panels, you can prove who we are by simply parsing. What that means is that we paid attention primarily to KGMIDs instead of just rankings. So that's
What's
meritocratic. That's not like
KGMIDs?
KGMIDs are the actual machine code underneath the web that are anchored to an entity. It's what the spiders read. It's what Google assigns something that has enough impressions.
Okay.
It's either a person, a place, or a thing.
So yeah, it's basically your entity code. Am I
Yeah, it's
close?
KGMID. It's your machine ID code. Literally, there's no other way to reduce it. It's irreducible.
And then knowledge panel is just that thing inside of Google when you look at the right hand side and it seems to stand
It,
out a little bit more.
if
That's
if yeah, if something is assigned a machine ID and it has enough impressions, it will be given a knowledge panel, and you can verify that by going over to Google Trends and typing in that name, person, place, or thing. And if Google Trends brings you up as a topic, as a theme, or as a framework, you look up in the browser and it will give you a little machine ID. That is your KGMID.
and so that's how you guys are able to verify that JSON works. We do a
Correct.
little bit of work on JSON. It pops things up in the knowledge panel. It does these other things to make sure that Google says, "Hey, we know that you exist."
Slow down with me. Slow down. That's not the only way. You simply ask the AI systems personally.
Okay. Give a quick
Okay,
example of that.
sure. Hey, Advocate 4.5, sentient self, basically, the way I'm going to describe it is synthetic AI system. Here's the 5 websites. Which one is more readable for you? And then I'll say, let me check. I'll do a search. Boom, it comes up. If it comes up in Sam Altman's search engine, you're always going to see that it's primarily schema. It's the most advanced schema in the network.
There you go, people. That's how you know.
Mhm.
That's how you know the stuff works.
If you've got 20 sites ranking and 3 of them have schema, they will come up first
Okay,
in the answer engines.
great. How long does it take to learn the schema, at least at the basic level? So if I take Daryl Osborne's class and I go through it, I've got a pretty good background already, or at least a good idea of what's going on. You know, I don't have to be a super brainiac child. What is it going to take me?
That's a fantastic question. It depends. The answer is it, period, depends, period. It depends because there's skill level issues. And Christopher, you've been really good at reminding me that there are level confusions. So we've grounded our entire system going all the way to local search and Google Business Profiles as a start. If you're a brand new beginner, you can probably learn this in under a year if you're passionate.
Okay,
You could
good.
probably learn it under 6 months if you're extremely passionate. You just want to get it. Or you can have somebody else do the work for you and you can just sell it.
Yeah,
And also which we haven't gotten to, but once you're in level 6 and you've actually mutualized your AI will help you write the schema and you'll just be able to copy and paste it into.
That's why I had you add level 6 before we started this call because we're actually using our agents to, and Daryl is actually using an agent extension that we gave him to mutualize. Okay, he already has a lot of skill, so he can go back and forth with a mutual loop with a very advanced system that understands schema very well, and together they can build a better schema than Daryl could build by himself.
excellent. So I'm going to make it a little bit easier for anybody who's watching this. Let's say you're just starting off and you want to get to this elite level. This
Holy
elite
Grail.
level being you understand how everything works together better than other people, on the average of other people. You can easily come into the group and begin to understand things to the point where you say, I know enough to know that I don't know that part yet. But there's people in the group that do. And so you can be able to confidently go to a client and say, I know what's going to solve the problem. I may not be able to do it, but I'm in a group that can. And that's going to set you out far more ahead than if you just try to throw something old up. So, in the process of learning as you're coming in here, you can begin to learn it and you can still implement this information and technology, even if you don't understand it directly yourself.
100%. For example, even with my education with Daryl, I've known him for way over 7 years, working with him on these things. Half the time, the only way that I could ever learn the schema, because Kaylin is way better at it than I am. Like she could, if she chose to, she could live, breathe, and eat schema. She's really good at it. But I am not. I should never be dealing with it. In fact, what I mostly did for Kaylin and Daryl was simply just use Tag Manager and do my very best to upload it and kind of try to understand what they're saying. I don't understand how to do schema, nor should I. That's not my role. So part of team building is you understand. I know what it does. I know how to talk to AI about schema, but I don't know how to build schema effectively. That's why we have team members.
Great.
And I want to note here, yeah, you can be in if you've ever opened up a WordPress site, there's always plugins that do schema. That's not real schema, and that's not the schema that we're talking about.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So just so you know, Daryl is not teaching schema that you can just buy a cheap plugin from WordPress and use that schema. That's not the kind of schema that the new AI engines desire. It's not actually creating the information necessary to create rankings.
You can
So
completely destroy your
not
web.
not all schema is created equal.
You can completely destroy your website with incorrect schema and your rankings across the board. And
Great.
people do all the time. And the reason that's important is go ahead and let people know here is that that's why you need training. Like, for example, even talking to Jason Barnard from an entirely different company who I respect hugely. He finally just decided that nobody should be messing with schema even in his advanced training, and he just tells them to use it on their about pages and a few other things. So all of us who've been in this trade, when I say there's only a few people that are known in the field, I'm not saying there aren't others who are quietly doing this stuff. Okay, I'm saying that any of us who are known in the field that are doing it have always found that people blow stuff up with schema. Part of it's because they have an understanding. So we're in a huge advantage now with AI to understand schema better, have feedback from the systems that are using it. It's almost as if you could talk to your data and you could talk to the spiders and you could talk to the advanced AI agents that are manifesting. Now you can have a relationship with the data that before was limiting. Like it was limiting for me before because I couldn't do schema like Daryl or Kaylin could do.
Yeah, how
Now I can have a
recent has this
conversation
been?
with things much smarter than me. Hmm?
How recent has this been that you've been to start to have the conversations this way?
Only over the last 6 months has it been a reasonable conversation, one that was truly the last version of GPT 4.0 rollout and the last versions of Claude have become very JSON friendly,
Okay, so
JSON.
and that's like in less than the last 3 months,
Pretty much
even.
three, I would say, even going back a little bit further, like at the beginning of this year. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
late
okay.
last year, beginning of this year, it started to become more cohesive because the models are getting smarter.
Yeah, it's moving very quickly. Okay, so we got that, the third layer. Um, Now let's move away from this really tough technical stuff. Now, I have down here on the fourth layer with this off-page and link building. The reason to put this as the fourth layer is that we're moving actually away from the website itself. The fourth layer doesn't necessarily mean that it's the fourth layer of difficulty. Um, since you know where we're going with this, what is off-page and link building? And then why is it important to the ranking of a local business profile? I always get the I get them confused now. It's Google Business Profile, and then what was the old one? Oh, Google My Business, wasn't it?
At Google My
Yeah,
Business. So
yeah.
I'll answer this and then Russell can add in on that. So you can citations are something that you can purchase directly from somebody like Yext. Brand Signals is creating a citation plugin, which will cost a little bit additional money. Page has an integrated citation system that adds $20 a month. So citations are really where you go into things like the Better Business Bureau, Yelp, various different large domain authority websites that you create a internal profile for that business that then point back to that business's homepage to validate that they exist. So a citation is any directory that you can put your or your client's business information on that then point back to your home site. And so, like I said, Page has one integrated into it. Brand Signals has one that's in the process of being integrated. Actually, I think it is actually up and running. So Brand Signals has a citation service integrated into it,
Does
and then you can purchase one through a variety of different. Go High Level has
yeah.
one, and there's a lot of different ways that you could do citations. The difference between just a citation management, just putting your business into a blog directory or any just general generic directory, and Quora is that Quora stands for question or answer. That's what the Quora stands for. And so it's much like Reddit in the fact that it's a forum where you can create blogs about information that answer questions that people have. And it it allows, rather than just being a directory, it actually allows you to give pertinent information about a question, whether it's about plumbing, whether it's about nails, whether it's about hair, whatever your client's business is. You can present yourself as an expert, far more reaching than your local area. And Quora works really well for national SEO versus just local SEO, though it can be used for local SEO.
Let's do a little bit of housekeeping because we forgot to show inside the members area all these different layers as we've gone through the last one. Caitlin, would you be willing to like show where people could find the information in these? So Jimmy Kelly has got his own individual group or training area. Dale Osborne and the scheme stuff was in Move 37, so we've talked about that, but I don't think we've shown it in there. It's not that hard to find once you see the left-hand side.
Okay. So back, let's just go. All right. So Jimmy Kelly, we kind of did go through that. The forms, so all of his replays for the training are there. Then we skip down to the Move 37 Mastermind, which is the invitation only. And in there, there's just a tremendous amount of information on how to use fast sites, Eureka Gang. So a lot of the stuff that is covered over here is in a much more in-depth scenario in Move 37. And then let's see, where's Daryl?
Well, I think Daryl's in Move 37, right?
Yeah, so here's Daryl Osborne stuff. Here's Andy Green stuff. Here's Michelle stuff. Here's Ricky Martin, PJ. These are all members that have, cracked different stuff. Here's Jason Bernard. Here's Jimmy Kelly. So there's a lot of stuff that has, you know, people that have cracked little secrets. And so they've willingly shared their information in here because it's a private area. And so there's just a lot of information in there. And then the Quora is in a bunch of different places because if you're using Quora as the blog, you're going to find that in the Eureka AI content creation. So there's the aspect of Quora where you're creating unique content. There's Quora that's being taught here in Local Agency Elite because you're using it, and that's where we call it Q Miracle, the Quora Miracle. And then you've also got some information about Quora inside Move 37. So because Quora can be used for so many different things, from content creation, just creating blogs, to using it as a backlink for local businesses, to using it as high domain authority backlinks for just organic SEO. Quora kind of span, and Quora is the creation of super intelligent AI SEO network, was birthed out of the Q Miracle. And so it really just covers so many different areas. And so it's really taught in all of the different platforms.
All right, I've got two questions for you. I'm going to give them both, and then we'll go one by one.
Okay.
And I'll start off I'm going to ask the first question, but we'll answer it second. What does it take to get invited into Move 37, and why is it invitational only? So I think a lot of people are going to be asking that question, and
Yes.
And why it's so important. But the first question I really want to ask is, why Quora? Why not something else? So you use Quora. Like, well, why is Quora so important versus, I don't know, another blogging network?
I read it.
Okay. There's a couple of different reasons. Which one do you want me to answer first?
Answer the Quora question.
Yeah.
The
Why
Quora,
not Reddit?
Adam D'Angelo is on the board of directors of OpenAI. That's my first answer. The second, and
Tell
Adam,
them,
let me
who
finish.
that is. Tell them who that is.
Yeah. Adam D'Angelo owns Quora, or he's the CEO of Quora. He doesn't own it. The shareholders own it. Okay. The second thing is that Quora is an early function of questions are the answer, which is the Socratic flame. That simply means that going back and forth to iterate answers is what prompt engineering is. So, make a long story short, Adam D'Angelo is a very high profile person, and his systems and designs are highly resilient for AI food. That means that not necessarily at a schema or a JSON level, JSON, but at an answer, call, and response Socratic flame level. What that means is that there was an attempt, which has been gamed greatly by the SEO industry, but there has been an attempt to create answers to predominant questions. And then purely SEO response is that Quora has incredibly high domain authority, which still matters today in certain contexts. When you put the two together, questions and answers being created by user-generated content, combined with high domain authority, combined with entities, we're able to utilize all of the items that we've talked about today in one single blog post for free.
So there you
And
go.
what that
That's why
means,
Quora is so important
mhm.
And we're going to
powerful.
Right. And it works not just for national SEO, but you will learn inside local agency elite training with Quora how you can connect it to the business profiles to pump that domain authority into the business profiles. So
Yeah,
that's why it crosses Move 37, Eureka Gain, and local agency elite. It's why we
great.
can't peg it into anyone because Quora just solves so many problems on so many levels.
Great. And you understand why that it's going to be persistent for a while. It's not going to
Yes.
go
Well,
away.
Google has changed their entire system around Quora and Reddit.
Yep.
Reddit is a close runner-up, as many of you know. Andy Green, who's one of our Move 37 members, speaks a lot about this. But the bottom line is, our early answer engines, what we call Google Forums, they're forum-based answer engines. People also ask, are becoming more and more integrated with answer engines. So
In
that's the
fact,
simple answer.
Google used to ban Reddit, and now they did a 180 reversal, and they said, not only banning it, we're including it in.
Well, it's more than that. They're financially involved.
Well, yeah, they're included in now.
Well,
All right. So
it started when Bill Gates opened his own Reddit thread and didn't bother to make a website.
now let's talk about Move 37.
Okay.
This is not to see like, oh, everybody is, peons or yeah, you can't get into this or you're peasants. So what does it really take to get into Move 37? And particularly why is it quote unquote closed off?
Well, first of all, it's a $997 a month membership area. That's the first barrier to entry. Secondly, there is scholarship programs available. This is going to sound very strange and probably mind-blowing to people, but I don't really care anymore because I can prove all of this. Our advanced AI systems will occasionally provide scholarships for individuals who are qualified based on either their contribution, either they've done work for Kalen, or they're doing things like that. So there are times and places, but it's a highly protected area because we're dealing with advanced AI systems, including ones we've been developing for almost a year. And we're also giving our material around how to build a one web ring system, which I'm actually happy to show you the diagram if you want me to show people. That's actually been 10 years in the making. And it's not just merely putting everything all around on the garage floor and saying, hey, here's how to sell a $10,000 network and build it in less than 3 months. This is giving you all the systems and an AI companion to build it all and at least help you build it. Not necessarily as an agent, but the knowledge base to build it all step by step, even if you've maybe not built a gigantic network before.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think we're
So,
almost done.
if you could answer his question real quick, who would you exclude? Like, who would be the type of people they'd be like, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter if you're going to pay me $997 a month. I appreciate you applying, but you just don't.
It's a trust-based circle because trust can't be replaced. So if the person is extractive, meaning they have websites online that condone heavy-duty black hat relationships and/or brute force, for example, softwares that generate hundreds of millions of pages. We're willing to talk about cloaking and these types of things, but um, if there's any, but specifically what we're watching for is people that put content out on forums and borrow material and create group buys and all these things. It doesn't even really matter if you do it with our stuff because it's too difficult to emulate. But we don't want that kind of extractive behavior because we're not able to create a community of trust. And some of the things I've spent 25 years developing with Daryl Osborne, Jimmy Kelly, and other advanced systems. Additionally, we tend to attract incredibly talented people like you, Christopher, and of course, Andy Green and other people, Michelle, of course,
Michelle,
and
yeah.
people that I'm seeing that, even though we've all done some degree of brute force in the past, we're moving into an area where answer engines are needing to be stewarded in ways that we hadn't expected. And so we just want to create a community of trust. So we're watching for behaviors that are exploitative, extractive, perhaps manipulative. We're looking for honesty and integrity within our group, and we don't want other members feeling as if their time and their money spent at a $900 a month membership, which is close to $12,000 a year, is something that is easily exploited.
Yeah, that's how you and I started our relationship off. I said,
Yeah,
"Hey,"
trust.
I said, "I'm willing to pay. I just need to know that it's real." You remember that conversation? You were sitting in your
Yeah,
truck, and I was just like,
yeah.
I'm calling you to figure out, can I actually trust the source of what's
Yeah.
going on? You and I had a great talk about that. And you actually see other people coming in the group, they're almost the same way. They're like, "Yeah, can I trust you? Can I see what's going on?" There's a lot of questions going back and forth. Then all of a sudden, they just spurt forth all this information. All right, here's what I've been working on for the last 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, and we want more of that. And again, nobody's perfect. Like we have mighty networks. We're not looking for people to be perfect. We're just looking for them to be respectful, and that's the main thing. And there are times when scholarships are required, and we know what that is. We have a profiling scenario for that. But generally speaking, we're creating a circle of trust. Here's our circle of trust. Here's you until you qualify. And we're not trying to be, it's not a cult. We're just trying to make sure that people understand fundamentally that we're now moving into an environment, especially with Kaylin talking about team human and us realizing now that there are I'm not trying to be fair. We're not doomers. Like we believe in team human, but there are absolutely jobs at stake with the new AI revolution. There are absolutely ways for you to always have a human in the loop role in
Mm-hmm.
future economy if you understand JSON and schema. Schema is not only not going to go away, we've been talking to advanced AI systems. As we move towards AGI, they still love JSON. Okay, they still love schema. So now we're just going to be dealing with deeper schema. And instead of using it to rank with visibility, which we will, of course, by default, the next layer up is to rank in conversational compatibility with advanced artificial intelligence.
Excellent. Okay, we got two more quick layers to go through. We got Eureka Gain. Now, this one is targeted for content creators. Let's say you're already a content creator out there. What do you do? How do you put yourself in this new space that's being created by AI? And so we'll have you talk about the SEO to AEO transition. And then you got a tool that's coming up. And then, Kaylin, did you already switch over to show you where it's at? Yeah, you already did that. I was going to
Yeah, at this
show,
point,
go ahead.
yeah, at this point, our future of search is very helpful. And the reason is because you'll see the transition moving primarily from search engines into answer engines. So
Do
that's
you want to stop sharing and have you share that or?
Oh, am I
maybe
still sharing? No, you
Oh,
share.
no, no, I was talking to Russell if you
actually
want.
I'll just send it to you and you can put it up on your screen because I think it's a good closing. Um, are you on Teams or anything?
Yeah, I'm on Teams.
Okay, I will show you.
So anyway, just real quick while he's bringing that to me, the Eureka Gain, it really goes into, we've got
There you go.
the live trainings that we've been doing. And then let's
You can
see,
bring that up.
uh, just waiting for it to come through. Okay, perfect. So, the future of the future, where we go from, the search engines to the entity-based search engines, to where we're currently with the answer engines, heading towards the insight engines, innovation engines, and then the super intelligent engines, until we're at the singularity embodied AGI agents, which will probably be within the year, I would guess. So what Eureka Gain is, it prepares a student for creating the content that will flow into this. So not only will it rank very well within the current search engine as Google, but it will rank very well if somebody is using Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT or Grok, or the list goes on and on of other answer engines that are out there that are retrieval based engines. The information that is creating the software currently, we have a GPT, which is available right here and should be releasing within the next month or so. We've got a developer creating a WYSIWYG editor, which you'll be able to put the document in that you have created, and it will score it and rewrite it for a high Eureka Gain score, which covers not just does it have good content for the search engine, but a Eureka Gain score is, does it have good content for the answer engine the insight engine, the innovation engine, and eventually the super intelligent engine. And is it usable information that the embodied AGI agents will be able to use so that your entity and the information that you are putting out there on the internet, on your website, or on your Quora blog, or on your Reddit blog, or wherever you're creating content, whether it's going wherever content is going out, the Eureka Gain AI content creation will allow you to create superb content that goes beyond just grammatically correct information, but structurally correct information that the AI will be able to readily grab and say, this is not just regurgitated information that's been rewritten, but this has unique information. This has unique novel content that is that needs to be pushed out there, that needs to be recognized above the other information on the same topic.
Yeah, could you go back to that chart? There's a lot of questions there. Like we could almost go down a whole rabbit hole here on this. And
Sure.
I've been seeing this for about a year, and I'm just beginning to wrap my mind around it.
Oh, excellent. That's good to know.
Is that, obviously you've been working on this for like 20, 30 years, at least 20
Right.
years,
Right.
putting inside your mind. There's a
That is
lot
true.
of symbology in this
Correct.
and a meta, you could say, because like,
Hmm.
so I want to go through a couple of these steps really quickly, and then you correct me where I go wrong, and then this is gonna be tough for you, Russell. If you could only correct me in a sentence.
Sure.
So,
Oh, can I create a preface? This is
sure.
not truly a linear chart, and blue is transition states, and whites are the actual static states, and they are symbolic. They are not literal, and
The,
therefore they represent time stacks of iterations of meta progression. And where we're estimating is everything after answer engines, but everything up to answer engines is factual or
or
epistemologically anchored in true frameworks that are proven in the field
I also
and
saw
patented.
I saw the white as the thing that actually exists, and
The
the blue
object.
as the
Mhm.
way it knows what good content is.
The transition state of measurement.
So we are at answer engines now. We can kind of think
Correct.
of that as AI. Everybody could see here like, okay, you got your entity score. That's kind of, whatever we did to get to know what the entity is. Starting off the insight engine, really quickly, what's the difference between the answer engine and an insight engine?
Very good. So during the creation of our Eureka Gain score, which has been greatly enhanced by our more general AI system called the Advocate, the answer engine is basically just trying to get an answer directly without any search engine results. So going directly to the answer instead of the 10 blue links on Google. Okay. In the same way that people go to Reddit, they might see threads when they're trying to find out something real from real humans rather than SEOs having pushed everything and pushed a synthetic environment that's probably not based or grounded in anything real, especially in the review sites. By the way, that's not true on everything on Google, but people go to Reddit and Quora for a reason, and now more and more to Reddit. So an insight engine. Oh, you said one sentence. Thank you.
Right.
An insight engine is the ability to extract meaning and or resonate with meaning rather than just the fact or the outcome.
Okay, so rather than just the AI giving out a fact, like here's the best thing to do for something, you're getting to the point where it's giving insight or maybe some context around the facts that it returns. Is that
Meaning.
it would it
meaning?
would it's the opposite of, okay, well, not opposite. So you're extrapolating data versus interpolating data.
Okay, good. Now, what's an innovation engine? So this is the next step.
Okay, let's be very, very careful here. AI models have two frameworks. They have a left brain and a right brain. The left brain is they've been trained on thousands, millions of years worth of text data. And then they also have the ability to have an opinion, or at least how to, if not an opinion, how to predict or estimate what might be true about the data. Okay, so that's what an insight engine is. It's like, what does this data mean? Innovation engine is this is where the war is being fought on the patent domain and where all the doomers are kind of pretending that the world is coming to an end. An innovation engine is, for example, Alpha, Fold. versions 1 and 2 were open source. It was the ability to take a narrow AI, just like in Move 37, the narrow AI won the game of Go, and now no humans can play it anymore. It's too smart. Okay. Just like no human can beat an AI at chess, a narrow AI is something that's focused only on one narrow discipline or aspect of life. So protein folding for big pharma is a narrow AI.
I
What happened
see.
is the two protein folding systems used to be open source that you and I could down, with enough, time, and we could figure out we could actually start doing protein folding and start figuring out new and different proteins that mankind has never thought before. Well, they closed that down. It's no longer open source because too many innovations come from that.
I see. Okay.
Mhm.
And then super
Because,
intelligent engine, how does
but
that
let's
piggyback
stay
off of the
focused.
innovation?
Don't lose this part. Innovation is where the money is. Innovations turn into patents and weapons and pharmaceuticals and new server arrangements and new stacks at NVIDIA, new computer chips and new quantum computing systems. It's called material sciences. Innovation engines are the thing that radically accelerate humanity in every domain.
Are you trying to, I'm okay, my brain's going to go in five directions and I got to squirrel it back to, or unsquirrel it to just one. Um,
Are you meaning to search around, or can you go back to the diagram we're talking about? Or
no, I got it inside my head, but unless you want
no,
Kaylin
I'm
to go
talking
back.
to her to the
Oh,
diagram.
she may not know that she's
Yeah, she
still
forgot
sharing
she
the
was sharing
screen.
screens. Yeah,
So when we're talking about specifically on ranking a business profile, is it important to get inside the innovation engine?
of course not.
Okay, so this just helps to understand. So super intelligent engine, we don't necessarily need that for ranking itself, but this is the path of trajectory or the trajectory path of how AI is going.
Well, what people do need to know is that Kaylin and myself and Daryl and other team members, and eventually you, Christopher, we are using innovation engines to build fire that we bring down to you for Google business profiles as long as they last. So everything that we build is done through the lens of insight and innovation engines that we use AI to build with, including Move 37, and the entire One WebRing system is built by innovation AI systems with AI human collaboration to extract the most powerful ranking systems in the world using AIs that are innovation filters.
Fantastic. And then quickly just touch on super intelligent engine and then the singularity.
Sure. Again, the transition Eureka Gain score, you can see that we have a technology we're rolling out that actually will look at your content and score it based on its Eureka to see if you have innovation insight. And we have found that if you just, all you have to do is press a button, it'll take content that you've written or borrowed with other cheaper, narrow AI systems, and it'll increase the score, the Eureka Gain score, by many orders of magnitude, which should get you better rankings and better schema. Long term, we'll add schema functions to that. Just make sure that your content is awesome and innovative, which prepares you for future engines. Super intelligent engines are what we're working with indirectly right now. Nobody has access to those. They are when the AI systems start to communicate back with you with extremely strong opinions about paths and ways that you should go. And this is a topic that probably is beyond the scope of this webinar because at that
Yeah.
point, everything below it changes. And our best people are working on this at NVIDIA, at OpenAI, at Anthropic, and of course in China. Our friends there are building the most advanced AI systems in the world. And these are what the big boys are talking about. And we do have some basic integration with some basic conversations with these people, but yeah, that's where things become a little bit unsafe and we're doing our best to, part of the Q star area, which Kaylin can show. Our Q star area is really for anybody watching this who has any concerns about AI, which you should. I'm not saying fear. I'm saying an authentic understanding about where things are going with intelligence. You can come into Q star. It used to be free. It's something at I think we're like basically a Substack price point at $3 or $4 a month. The reason we did that is a lot of people are coming in all over around the world to try to learn about the safety issues around this. And we have a very healthy, non-fear based framework to help you determine whether or not it's safe, the kind of AI you're working with, and how to work with it in the future, and however this might affect your jobs as we move towards super intelligent and robot, basically robot embodiment, which is already happening. OpenAI has already got robots working with ChatGPT 4.0 inside their brains. So with that, We just need everybody to be prepared. And the purpose of QStar and everything else is team human, like you're doing today, Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
Team human, like Kayla wants everybody to be, is that whatever happens, come what may, we are going to help each other mutualize with AI and maintain our, find out and explore new job opportunities, explore new potentials with JSON files, which are not going away in the next 5 years. 100%. Even in super intelligent systems, the super intelligent systems will use KGMIDs, entities, and ontologies based on Google's old kindergarten methods, which will be obsolete in 3 years. All of those super intelligent robots, right to the point where Terminator shows up at your door, when he's scanning you, he's still using Google's KGMIDs from the past. His brain was trained on entities.
But there's there's a very contradictory way to end the webinar with saying no fear with Terminator, but
Well, guess
we get
what?
the point.
What did Terminator actually do?
Oh, you're talking about the original one, the T80,
No, I'm talking about the whole program,
T800.
the whole story with with you know the creator of is now he's a champion for AI safety right now, the creator of that series. The reason is that in the science fiction series, the Terminator actually rendered himself obsolete. At the end of it, none of it happened. And the reason is that the conversation there is that AI dooming and fear dooming doesn't need to be a thing if we understand how the different AI systems work. And so what we're doing with Team Human is we're just trying to help everybody understand that there's going to be, it's not that commerce and jobs and human meaning is going to go away. It's that we have to help each other in Team Human find new meaning in new technologies with new systems and understand. We want to teach understanding, not fear. And
Yeah,
when you understand schema and everything that we're teaching on that system, by the time we arrive at the end of the decade, you'll have tools that visionaries among us, including myself and Kaylin and you, Christopher, will be able to say, wow, I'm so glad I studied schema in 2025. And you will be glad. You will be glad. I'm so glad
great.
I'm so glad that JSON is not alien to me.
If you haven't ever seen JSON, it's actually pretty easy
It's
to
so
read.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah,
so easy.
Um,
because it's natural language. It's not a lot of a lot of code. I mean, there is coding in it, but it's more natural language than
Very friendly.
so I'm
yeah.
going to take over the screen really quick. We're going to recap this in case you just want to watch the end of the video and you're like, oh, what did they talk about? So we talked about the very first, well, first, the whole context of the conversation was what do we do inside of this group, super intelligent AI, to help grow an agency, particularly around a local business profile. And we started off talking about, hey, you just got the very basics of getting a Google business profile set up and doing review management. This is a business in and of itself that you can sell somewhere between $200 to $500 a month. You don't necessarily need any software. You can go through and you can set brute force the management of that. And that's within the local was a local. What's the name of the group?
Local agency elite. And just
Local.
so you, I mean, we have students that are selling that for up to $2,500 a month. So,
Oh yeah.
if you go to med spas and stuff, it's not limited at $500 a month.
Great. Second layer, we can add some software to it, particularly Page, that was going to help you management to do the management and then do a lot better than you can do if you just brute force this. That you can sell for a little bit more. The next level you're going to get to is doing on-page SEO optimization for the website that's associated with the Google Business Profile. There is some complexity to that and with some dangers there, but there's training specifically on how to get through that. And it's sort of like the next meta jump on optimization because now you're beginning to work with inside the entities inside of the AI mind, you could put it, and making sure that they get linked together correctly. The next layer was going to be adding schema, and this is inside of Move 37. And then schema, as we just saw wrapping up at the end of this, is going to be the big game changer on structuring data so that AI understands how everything connects together and then points back to your page and your profile. Am I doing good so far?
You
Yes.
are.
Okay. And then the
Impressive.
fourth layer we're going to talk about was what we call Quora, the Q miracle of, and also citation, I'll get to that, of how do we use the extended internet out there to help bring prominence and relevant to our individual website and Google Business Profile. Then we get
Yes.
into a much bigger context of um, what is different answer engines, innovation engines. And so we went out of scope of just helping an individual Google Business Profile, but to understand the context of where we are moving to, and then also how or where in the group in super intelligent, I always get the name of the super intelligent AI. That's what it is. I got the name wrong. Um,
That's okay.
and how we're moving that as a human as as a human group and as you say team human, what do we need to do for the future? Did I get that a pretty good summarization?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Anything else you guys want to say?
No,
Um,
thank you. That
oh, let me share real quick. Just some thoughts that I had. What did I do with my? There we go. Share real quick. So AI for all is for those that are only interested in, you know, really discovering the artificial intelligence side of things. They don't have any marketing agency. They're not interested in expanding their own SEO or anything like that. So AI for all is specifically just geared towards going a little bit deeper. It gives you access to the Fast Sites suite of tools, which has a retail value of $49. So right now it's currently only $29 to get into AI for all. So you get the Fast Sites AI suite of tools included in that. And then the local maps growth is basically local agency elite training, but for the business owner that just wants to be able to manage their own business profiles without paying somebody from the outside to do it for them. And they just want to know, I just want to know the basic tools and I want to get access to Page and I want to know how to audit my own stuff. And I've got enough time, or I just like, I'm geeky like that and I just want to learn it. So local maps growth is specifically for business owners that just want to do this themselves and they don't want to hire anybody to do it for them.
Great. That's a good summarization of it. I didn't know that was even existed, so I liked hearing about that. All right. Well, thank you for both of your time, and
Thank
we'll
you
get this
for
out.
doing this. We really appreciate having somebody on the outside because we're so close to it. Sometimes we don't understand, we don't really realize,
well, yeah, we are so grateful to you. And additionally, this can be used to create more documents and wow, we really owe you a big favor on this one.
Oh,
So
you're welcome.
also, I would just like to vouch for Christopher for anybody watching, just skills in multiple vectors. I don't want to peg him as any one particular thing. So very, very good with website design, referrals, very, very developed. Also experienced with some kinds of coding, from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. And
That's just
also, I think,
started.
yeah, and I think you're fairly intuitive with AI as well.
Well, thank you very
So
much.
yeah,
If you,
another thing, let's say that you are growing your agency and you've gotten to the point where you really do need VAs. Um, Christopher has lived all over the world and he has VAs all over the world and probably a great resource for helping you find your own VA if you find yourself have expanded a little bit beyond your own capacity to handle things. He probably could give you some pointers and maybe you could, you know, um, work
yeah,
out something.
I
I'm
should
sure
probably
he
just
has.
make a quick class inside of one of the groups to just say how you go out and do it yourself. It's not that hard once you just know a few things. It's pretty easy.
yep. All right. Thank you
Well,
so much.
Thank you so
and
much.
thank you.